Welcome. Thank you for joining us today, wherever you're joining from. We are welcoming Becca from Donor Egg Bank USA, who will explain a little bit about her role and her background to talk about bringing home a baby with Donor Egg Bank USA. So I'm Eloise and I'm the founder of Fertility Help Hub. I have 3 sperm donor conceived children, thanks to California Cryobank, and they're 5 and twins who are 3. So I always find it very moving and enjoy talking about donor conception because it's something very close to my heart. So welcome everyone today, and a big special welcome to Becca.
Thank you so much, Eloise, for having me on today. I'm excited to be talking with all of you about egg donation. A little bit about myself. I live in Texas and I have been a fertility nurse for about 12 years now. Before I moved to Donor Egg Bank USA, I did work in the fertility clinic here in town, and I ran the third-party program. So I worked with a lot of patients that were expanding their families using donor egg, using gestational carriers, using donor sperm. And so I've had a lot of experience with discussing these topics and just guiding patients through the process. So I'm excited to be talking with you today about Donor Egg Bank USA and what our plans are and how we can be of assistance to help you on your journey.
Fantastic.
All right, so some of the objectives that we're going to cover today, coming to terms with the diagnosis. I know for many of you, this might be the hardest step, is just acknowledging what that looks like for you moving forward. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We're gonna talk about facing those common fears, navigating all of the emotions that are involved, taking the first steps to choosing a donor, and then what does the game plan look like? What is the finances? How does the timing work? And then looking for the future. So moving into making the right decision. So what are some of the reasons for egg donation? And if you look here on the slide, this might be familiar. You may have heard these words or these diagnoses before. Decreased ovarian function. So this is a decrease in the quality or the quantity of your eggs. Premature ovarian failure. This is reduced function of the ovaries, typically under the age of 40. And sometimes that's caused by either genetic factors or autoimmune disorders. Genetic abnormalities. Maybe you have a family history of genetic abnormalities. And then failure of other treatments. Many of you may have gone through fertility treatments without success, or maybe you have been successful, you had a pregnancy, but maybe you had a pregnancy loss. And so we're going to talk about, some of the treatments for that. And then Donor Egg Bank is all encompassing of our LGBTQ+ family. Some of the common fears that patients will talk with us about is, will I love the baby having a donor egg? And yes, you absolutely will love that baby. That baby is yours, and he or she will love you back unconditionally. And Eloise, you probably can attest to this, having used donor sperm. So yes, you will love that baby. Can I even carry a baby or be successful? So donor egg is the most successful of all fertility treatments. And many times women are unsuccessful because of the quality or quantity of their eggs. So a lot of times it's not the uterus that is the issue, it's the eggs. And so that's where egg donation comes into play. Will everyone know I used an egg donor? They don't have to. You don't have to tell anybody unless you want to, and that is up to you. We do suggest that you talk to your support person or your partner to really decide on how you want to move forward with that question. Can I emotionally and physically do another cycle? Everyone's in a different place with their fertility journey, but if you have it in you to push through, you will persevere. Will I find a donor that I like? We get this question a lot too. So something that's great about a frozen egg bank is that we have lots of donors to choose from on the database. And so you should find someone that you are really connected with. So just keep looking and have an open mind. And then, can I afford it? So Donor Egg Bank USA has several financial plans that we're going to discuss a little bit later in this presentation, including a live birth guarantee program that offers 100% refund if you're not successful. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail in just a bit. So why do donor eggs work? So if you take a look at this chart, women are born with all the eggs we're ever going to have. And as we age, our ovarian reserve diminishes. And our peak fertility actually occurs between our 20s and our 30s. And we start to see a rapid decline around the age of 30. Yeah, thank you. So in the last slide, you saw the downward trend. And on this slide, you're going to see that rapid rise in this graph. And what it's showing is that as we become less young, our miscarriage rates actually increase. So most miscarriages occur because of chromosomally abnormal pregnancies. So what are some of the advantages of using frozen donor eggs? So we'll talk a little bit in detail on this. We have our frozen eggs grouped into what we call lots. And in every egg lot, you would receive somewhere between 5 to 8 mature eggs. These eggs are already frozen and they're ready to be shipped to your clinic. And the reason that we have a range listed here is because every woman provides mature eggs at different numbers. So we use an algorithm to ensure that we're only using the best mature eggs. And when you look at the website and you look at the donors, you'll see exactly how many eggs come with each donor. There's no need for synchronization with the donor. So these eggs, again, they're already retrieved. So you don't need to synchronize your uterus with the donor's ovaries. And so there's a lot of control over timing with that as well. There's a larger donor selection. So currently we have about 250 donors. When previous to COVID, we had close to 400. We kind of took a little bit of a hit with COVID, but we are rapidly increasing our database to provide more donors to the community. And then you don't have to worry about your donor not taking her medication or making a mistake. So again, those eggs are already retrieved and ready to go, and you have control over the cycle timing as well. This is also really good for gestational carriers if you're using a gestational carrier in your journey. And typically, frozen donor eggs are less expensive than fresh donor eggs. So I'm not going to talk too much on this slide. This is our 2020 statistics. We actually just got our 2021 published, and then soon we'll have our 2022 as the year ends. But the two things I want to point out here is the clinical pregnancy rate at 61%. So what that means, it's a clinical pregnancy rate. So that means you've had an ultrasound and you see that gestational sac. And then also wanted to point out just the excess cryo rate of 69. I think now it's about 70 to 71%. What that means is after you have your first transfer, 70% of the time, you're going to have additional embryos for future transfers. Okay, so moving into the donors. How do you choose your donors? Let's talk about where the donors come from and kind of the process that they go through. So our donors are all recruited and screened at our partnered freeze clinics. And they go through their FDA testing and screening, and each fertility clinic is responsible for determining donor eligibility. Our first-time donors are between the age of 21 and 28. You may see a donor up to 32, and typically that's for our repeat donors that maybe they've been asked to come back for a sibling journey. And we get a lot of questions sometimes, or what is the motivation behind egg donation? Why are these young women donating their eggs? And so, yes, the women are given a financial they are given money for their time and for their effort, but that can't be their only reason for donating. There has to be some altruistic motivations. And many times these young women want to donate because they want to help. They want to help. Maybe they've had a family member that has gone through infertility. Maybe they've had children of their own, and they want someone else to experience that. So there has to be some other motivations behind donation. And they want to share this gift of parenthood with you. So what is the screening process? So these young women go through an extensive screening process. Just to give you an idea, for every 100 applications that come in, only 2 to 3 donors will actually make it to retrieval. So that tells you how extensive and how thorough these screening and testing is. So when a donor comes through, they're going to have a comprehensive donor profile and family history. We'll also review their multi-generational family review. They go through genetic testing. Their medical history is reviewed. Their fertility is assessed. They must be non-smokers. They are drug tested. And then, of course, we're following the FDA guidelines and Health Canada guidelines. And then psychological screening and counseling. Every single woman that comes through does meet with a psychological reviewer to review the process, and they also have a psychological testing done as well. Donor anonymity. So we get a lot of questions about this too. Do you have any open ID donors? And so what does that mean? So right now we have 65% of our donors are considered non-disclosure and 35% are ID disclosure. We're really trying to get that ID disclosure number up. It's kind of the way the industry is turning to. More recipients want open ID. And then the women that are donating are also selecting to be open ID or ID disclosure. So what does that mean? Non-disclosure means the egg donor is really only consenting to share non-identifying information. And ID disclosure means the egg donor at the time of donation is consenting to release their identifying information to the donor conceived. So, and that's at the age, at the majority of age, which usually is 18. But if the donor conceived child decides at 18 or above that they want information on their donor, then that identifying information would be released to the child. So tips for selecting a donor. The first thing we have here is enjoy the process. And I know for some that might be easier than others, but make it what you can and try to enjoy it. Sit down and review these profiles and really match those important issues. Really think about what really matters to you, and then look for that in a donor. Make compromises on some of the least or less important issues. So like I said, really think about what's important, what might not be as important, and try to let go of some of those less important issues. Look for intellectual potential, not just education level. And what I mean by that is some of these women maybe started a family sooner than they anticipated, or maybe they were young when they started a family, and so they never really were able to move on into college or get a master's degree. So really look for some of that intellectual potential. You can tell that in the way that they answer their questions as well. There's some essay questions that they fill out, and so you can kind of get a sense of who they are and that intellectual potential. Remember that everyone has imperfections, so there's not going to be a perfect donor out there. There's not going to be anyone that is you, right? But look for someone that kind of checks off all those boxes that you're looking for. And then matching blood type is not medically necessary. We do get that question a lot as well. It is not medically necessary. The only time that you might want to match the blood type is if you're not choosing to disclose that you used an egg donor.
Someone just raised their hand, I think. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask or drop it in the chat. There we go. Lisa, did you want to ask something? Feel free. Oh, I think it's here. Is there any difference between DEB's younger donors and older donors in terms of success?
That's a great question. We are really adamant about the quality of our eggs. And so when we release a donor, we actually hold back a couple of egg lots because for quality control, we don't want to have a donor on the website that is not performing well. So really the age, if we've invited an older donor back, it's because she has good success rates. Great question.
Great. And I think the chat box should be working now if anyone wants to pop in the chat box. Thank you for answering that.
Sure.
And then financial options. This is something that lots of people had questions about. So I'll pass over to you for this.
Awesome. So we have several plans available to patients. So first we're going to talk about a couple of plans where we're keeping the eggs separate from the cost of treatment. So the first plan we have is the single egg lot plan. And in this plan, you would receive 5 to 8 mature eggs, and you're guaranteed 1 or more blastocyst embryos. So if you're not familiar with the word blastocyst, what that means is it's a good quality embryo that you can either freeze, transfer, or biopsy for PGTA. So we are guaranteeing 1 or more blastocyst embryos. If we do not meet that guarantee, you would receive a replacement egg lot. Treatment to the fertility practice is paid separately, and the cost for the single egg lot plan is $16,000 US. Our next plan is the double egg lot plan. Anytime you purchase more than 1 egg lot, you would receive a discount on that additional egg lot. And so the double egg lot plan, you would receive 2 egg lots of 5 to 8 mature eggs, and it guarantees 2 or more blastocysts within that combined egg lot. Again, treatment is paid separately to the practice, and the cost for the double egg lot plan is $30,000 US. So you'll see here there's about a $2,000 discount when you do that double egg lot plan. This is a great plan for patients that are wanting an additional egg lot, or for our same-sex male couples who maybe each want to use their sperm source. So now we're going to move into the next 2 plans are going to be combining the cost of eggs with the cost of treatment. So this is called our single cycle plan. And again, we're combining the cost of the eggs with the treatment. We're working with your doctor to decrease the cost of treatment while we're decreasing the cost of the eggs to come up with a one-time upfront cost that's reasonable. Another benefit to this plan is both the eggs and the treatment are protected. So what I mean by that is if for some reason the egg lot did not perform well and fertilization didn't occur or your cycle was canceled, if you were not, let's say if you were in a single egg lot plan, you would have to probably pay your clinic again for your monitoring fees. But if you're in the single cycle plan where we're combining the cost of treatment with the eggs, you wouldn't have to pay again. You wouldn't have to pay for those monitoring appointments again because you've already paid up front for that. So this plan does guarantee the treatment and it protects that treatment. We don't have a cost here because the cost of this plan really varies amongst the fertility clinics because every doctor charges a little bit differently for their services. But if you contact us and you speak with one of our case managers, we'd be happy to tell you exactly how much the plan costs at your fertility clinic.
Can you work with any fertility clinic in the US?
We can. So we work with over 290 clinics across really the United States, Canada, and then some international clinics as well. And if we've never shipped to the clinic before, that's actually what I do as I reach out to the fertility clinic and we talk about the process and we'll work on getting these eggs shipped to your clinic. So If we don't work with them, don't worry. We will certainly reach out and see how we can get this shipped to your clinic for you.
Great.
Okay, so I'm now moving into the Assured Refund plan, which is our most popular plan and personally is my favorite as a nurse. I told you I worked in the fertility clinic for 11 years. And so when my patient was enrolled in this plan, I really had this like sense of relief. And I say that because I know that they had multiple opportunities and tries to be successful. And I knew that Donor Egg Bank USA was going to take that financial risk. So the Assured Refund Plan provides you with a safety net that if you do not bring home a baby, you will receive 100% of your money back. And in this plan, it offers up to 6 egg lots with unlimited frozen embryo transfers, so unlimited FETs. Not only does this plan protect you while you're going through the treatment at your clinic, but it also protects you against miscarriages and late-term pregnancy loss. This is a program that you have to qualify for, but 95% of the patients that apply do qualify, and 92% bring home a baby. So really great statistics there. And let me tell you, it's a pretty simple process as well. If this is something that you're interested in, we will work with your clinic to gather some medical information from them, and then the information is sent to the medical review team to review. So again, 95% are approved and 92% bring home a baby.
And what are the qualifying factors?
Sure, great question. So what we're looking for here is we'll take a look at, what is your OB history? What have you done fertility treatments in the past? So have you had some cycles of your own? Have you ever had an FET? So we'll look at that. Of course, we want to look at the sperm source and see what that looks like. And then what does the uterus look like? So we want to see, make sure there's not any fibroids that could interfere or a polyp that could interfere with the baby growing. And so those are typically what we're looking at. And we'll work with your clinic to gather this information.
Great.
We do have a cutoff, a BMI cutoff of 40. And that's something that we found over the last year. We've really gathered some data from our Assured Refund patients to see where is this best, what is causing the best success rates for pregnancy. And we found that BMI higher than 40 really had a decrease in pregnancy rates and an increase in miscarriages. So we did recently put a cutoff of 40 for the live birth guarantee plans. But if you have a BMI over 40, you're still welcome to participate in any of the other programs. So we found that some physicians wanted to keep the cost of eggs and treatment separate. And so that's where we came up with the multi-egg lot refund plan, because we wanted to offer, still be able to offer this live birth guarantee to patients whose clinic maybe did not participate in the Assured Refund plan. This is also a great plan for patients as we see more and more fertility coverage. This is also a great opportunity for patients to use their fertility benefits and still have a live birth guarantee. So the multi-egg lot refund plan is very similar to Assured Refund, but there's a couple of key differences here. So in the Assured Refund, you had up to 6 egg lots. In the multi-egg lot, you have up to 4 egg lots. And the payment is made separately for the treatment. So you would pay the clinic for your treatment, or the clinic would bill your insurance. Still 100% refund if you're not successful, and a 50% refund if you leave the plan on your own. And that's similar for Assured Refund. I didn't mention 100% refund if you're not successful, 50% if you choose to leave the plan. And the cost for this program is $33,000 US. So we are not huge proponents of PGTA in the donor population, but we do know that sometimes patients come to us and they've done PGTA in the past with their own eggs and they really want to move forward with PGTA. And we also know that some physicians also are recommending PGTA. So we came up with the euploid quality guarantee rider, and what that entails is that you can add this rider to either the single or the double egg lot plan. And what it does is it guarantees one or more euploid embryos with up to 3 egg lots. So what I mean by that is if you're definitely, you're doing PGTA and you're doing a single egg lot plan, you should probably purchase this rider, right? Because what it's going to do is if, let's say, in that egg lot, you get 2 embryos that you send off for testing. If you don't have any euploid embryos, and euploid means normal chromosome embryos, if you don't get any euploid embryos, then you're done, right? You're not going to have a transfer. But if you have the euploid rider, we will give you a second lot of eggs. And so up to 3 egg lots. So up to 2 additional egg lots are given if there are no euploid embryos in that first egg lot. We did recently, patients are asking to participate in PGTA with the live birth guarantees. So that's that assured refund and multi-egg lot refund plan. And yes, patients can participate in that. Keep in mind that it is a live birth guarantee, so it's not necessarily something that PGTA needs to occur. But if it's something that you're interested in, you can participate in that. You just need to purchase the euploid supplement. And the cost for both the rider and the supplement is $4,800 US.
Make sure you're following both Donor Egg Bank USA and Fertility Help Hub, and we'll be circulating that very soon. Great. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you very much, Becca.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye-bye.